Welcome to the Somewhat Mid-Afternoon Show. I am your host, Mike Ryder, and we have some Ask Mike questions that you have asked me, Mike, and I'm going to try my best to answer them for you here. Our first question comes from Slippy Steve. Who is the best Harry Potter character and why? The answer to this question is Hermione Granger. And the reason is because if it was not for Hermione, they all would have died early on. Maybe they probably would have got through the first book, but the second book is questionable. She's the only reason they knew it was a basilisk and knew to turn away their eyes. So if it wasn't for Hermione Granger, Harry Potter would end with a very sad ending in Harry Potter 2. Our next question comes from Hannah B. Singing. What is your favorite Broadway musical? No, I've never actually been to New York, so I haven't seen a musical on Broadway, but probably my favorite one is Fiddler on the Roof, because I really like the tradition song and the If I Were a Rich Man song and his little dance that he does. That's my go-to dance move. So that's probably Brady's dying behind the screen from that dance move. That's probably my favorite. It's also the one that I've seen the most, though I haven't seen the movie. I've seen it in Kelowna when we lived there in the Played production, and then I saw it actually with Hannah B. Singing was in the adaptation of Fiddler on the Roof that I saw as well. So that's probably my favorite one. And our last question today comes from Ichiban. If you could describe yourself as a mathematical fraction, which fraction would it be and why? I'm going to go with maybe a cheesy answer. I don't know if it makes sense. I'm going to describe myself as a 2/3. Why? Because the other third is the Holy Spirit that dwells within me. I got face palms. I'm sure you face palmed at home. But as you recover from that awful answer, we're going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Look at God's creation. Absolutely stunning. So much to explore. And so many adventures await. So much to see. So many places to go. So many people to meet. You have a lifetime to explore. Stay home. It will keep you and your loved ones healthy. You may want to quarantine with your friends. Don't. That's why we have video chat. I promise you he's happy. Stay home.
Welcome back to the Somewhat Mid-Afternoon Show. And we are here with our guest, Evan. Evan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, a hobby that I recently have gotten into, and a hobby that you have, has been Dungeons and Dragons.
This is correct.
And so I stole this game from someone else that's called D&D Monsters, Real or Fake.
Ooh.
So I'm going to give you a name of a monster and a little bit of a description of it. You have to tell me if it's true or false. Well, real or fake. All right? Okay, number 1. Water Weird. A water elemental that is undetectable underwater. Its alignment is chaotic evil, and they will attack all living things and feed from their essence. They cannot exist out of water. Is that a real or a fake?
I think that is a real monster. However, if the water is cleansed or made holy by a cleric spell, it could be of a good alignment.
Oh, I don't know about that last part, but I do know that it is a real monster. So you're 1 for 1. Very good. Your next one. Cacophonous Wretch. An undead humanoid being that has been reanimated irresponsibly. Spiteful and weak, they cannot sustain themselves alone, and so travel in groups of 3 to 7, and attack primarily through their use of screaming, which can disorient and render some unconscious. Real or fake?
Sounds very plausible, but I'm going to go with fake.
Fake is the right answer. He's 2 for 2, ladies and gentlemen. All right, your third one. Flail Snail. A giant snail-like beast with 4 to 6 tentacles that double as powerful spiked clubs. If the tentacles sway slowly, they are calm. If fast, they are agitated and will strike. When dying, the flail snail will wail. Nice rhyming scheme.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. Not the monster, but just how it's described.
Just sounds at the end, yeah.
Yeah.
But is it real or fake?
I want to say fake. Although, again, very plausible.
This one is real. It's first. Falter. You're 2 for 3, though. Still good. Still good. We got a few more left. All right. A Vegapygmy Chief. A humanoid plant creature with vegetable-like skin, a top knot of leaf, and razor-sharp claws. It leads a group of Vegapygmies because they are stronger in groups. They are true neutral and will attack in ambush if disturbed. Real or fake?
I want to go fake.
That one is also real.
Okay.
We're 50% here. All right, we got 3 more for you. All right, next one. Google Morph. A shape-changing aberration with the ability to shape into an unknowable amount of things. But in their resting state, they resemble a flightless bird, and they have a large, central, cyclopic eye. Real or fake?
Again, I'm going to try the fake.
This time you are correct.
Yes.
It is a fake creature. All right. We're 3 for 5. Jellied Bubble Wrath. Medium-sized ooze, often found in the swamps of the Oblivion. These round globular bubbles are dangerously corrosive. They exhibit the ability to draw people and creatures to them as they shimmer beautifully when they rest, but reveal themselves as vile when they arise. Real or fake?
Sounds real to me, though.
Real? It sounds kind of like the gelatinous cubes, which are
That's
real
true.
monsters. But this one's fake. 3 for 6. All right, this is going to determine whether you have a passing grade or a failing grade. So, and it's, of course, the one that I can't really pronounce. Obfuscus Moth. I think it's a real word. Real word. Obfuscous. Obfuscus Moth. An exceptionally dark I can't say that word either. Winged beast. It is an interplanar creature of mysterious nature. Lawful good and intelligent creatures with limited psionic power, which their feathery antennae can amplify. Real or fake?
I want to say that's new to me. I'm going to go with fake.
Fake. Fake is correct. You have passed the test just barely with 4 out of 7. So
I'll take that.
good job. There is some strange Dungeons and Dragons monsters.
This is very true.
And any of them could have really been plausible. That's the nature of the game, I suppose. But we will be right back with Evan after this commercial break.
We interrupt this very non-special broadcasting of the Somewhat Mid-Afternoon Show to bring you breaking news. Today, the children's icon Peppa Pig has filed a lawsuit against Langley's very own teenager, Sophie Starr. The lawsuit claims that Sophie Starr is claiming to be the real Peppa Pig while dancing aggressively and attempting to entertain those who are waiting in grocery store lineups. Her dancing has been described by patrons as very erratic and highly concerning. Next week, the trial begins while Peppa Pig files for identity theft and emotional damages of approximately $2.56 million, as well as 2 pink emotional support sheep. We have approached Sophie Starr asking for a comment, but she refused and instead said, and I quote, "That pink pig will never live up to the real Peppa. I will win this trial. My brother's lawyer is a legend. Try me." And in other news, approximately next week, we'll be having a Bible study at Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. with Pastor Mike, and as well as a game on Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Make sure to reach out to Pastor Mike for more details on that. This has been Breaking News with your very special host, me, Brady Ash.
Welcome back to the Mid-Afternoon Show. We are still here with our guest, Evan. And we're going to talk a little bit about your testimony. So we're going to start, as we always start with testimonies. What drew you to Christ?
So I was brought up in a Christian influence home, and having that environment, just the news of God's love and how much he cares and loves me was all around. And also I recall going to church even when I was knee-high to a grasshopper. And so with the teaching there and how it sounded, it sounded right. Like it sounded to be true. And of course at the time I didn't know what was right and wrong or opposing beliefs. But however, as I continued to grow up and mature and be able to see and understand like a left side from a right side and different perspectives, over time it's just been brought to me as true and true again that Christ is real and he didn't die on the cross so many years ago, and that God still loves us, and he even goes out of his way so that we know that we're loved. And that just, it's been there even since when I was 3 years old, when I decided, hey, this is actually something I want to live in, something I want to follow. And yeah, 3 years old, maybe I didn't know exactly what was going on, but it's just been tried and tried and tried again, and just comes back as true against all odds, which I think is just fantastic. It's amazing.
Yeah, so that even though you made that decision at 3, it's just been reaffirmed and reaffirmed.
Oh, yeah.
It goes and shows it's still true. Very cool. So since you've been 3 in this walk that you've had with Christ since then, what is a way that God has transformed you?
Well, I believe God to be working at all points of my life, but in particular, I've been able to notice just how active God has been in the last few years in particular. So back in 2018, I went to Capernwray Hall, which is a Bible college in England, and I was there for their 9-month course, which they called their 1-year course. And during that course, they would mostly be talking about the Bible, be talking from the Bible, like what the Bible was saying, but then also we would be having opportunities to go out into the local communities, doing outreaches, and just helping people, helping schools, and having a bit of a hands-on approach to a bit of mission in the local community, and for further missions trips as well. And that time in particular has been just a phenomenal part of my life. But on day 1, I recall thinking, what if nothing changes from this? So day 1, when I went to England, it's like, what if nothing changes? And I just went through it. I learned, I did what I could, but then it was only in the last 3 weeks that I could finally see that, wow, all of this stuff has just been piling onto my life. Just the learning, the experiences, everything, the good times, the bad times have just been put together. And almost at the end of it, I started to catch glimpses of just tiny changes in my mind, just my mindset, how I was approaching different things. And it's just been, it's been a wild ride, but it's continuous, and I don't consider myself a finished project yet. The book still has so many pages left to write, but I hope to continue strong and just see how much more amazing things God has in store.
Yeah, that's a good point about the especially like what stood out to me in that is it was those last 3 weeks that you were able to realize, oh, this is the way he's transformed me. And so sometimes I think we come and we think, okay, how has God transformed me? And we're trying to think of what he's doing right now. But often we have to look back and see, because it's the hindsight 2020 thing. And so when we're in the midst of transforming, sometimes we don't realize that we are being transformed until we look back later and like, oh, God actually really transformed me. And sometimes it's just a gradual thing, and sometimes there's actually an event that happened that transformed us, but we don't realize that right away.
Yeah.
It takes us looking back like, oh, God actually used this small thing in my life, and that's the point that it transformed. So yeah, just that encouragement that maybe you don't feel like God has transformed you, but I can promise you that if you've been following him, he has. You just aren't at the point where you can recognize that transformation yet. So, and that's encouraging in your story.
And I think, like, in order to see how far you've come, you have to have a background with something. And, like, you have to come from somewhere to go somewhere else, right? Yeah, it's all part of the process. Like, and there were so many moments, and even now, where I'm thinking, wait, where am I going? Is God still working? But then I just look back and look at all those moments that have happened in my life, and they're not coincidental, even though they might seem like accidents. They're definitely there for a purpose. And as I continue to walk through this life, I start to see things more and more and more and more.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's an experience of God that you've had, or a way that God has answered prayer, one of your prayers that you will never forget?
Well, I think there is a time, or there was a time, that I was helping out at my summer camp quite a few years ago, Camp Kakwa. It's an amazing place, and I've been working there for several years. But one particular story that I have, it isn't actually my story, but I was a part of it, and I just think it's so amazing. And it definitely shows that God has a sense of humor in some of the ways that he works. And so the story goes that I have a Blue Lantern ring, which, if you know the DC Universe, the Green Lanterns, from the comics or even in the movies, I actually haven't seen them.
Apparently honestly. They're not very good in the movies.
Well, I haven't seen, so I can't say. But I have this Blue Lantern ring, and it's just this blue piece of plastic with the insignia of the Blue Lanterns. And in the universe, Blue Lanterns, their emotional power is hope. And so if they have hope, they can utilize the powers that the rings give them. And they're also charged by the emotion of hope. And so I have this ring, and at that time, and even still today, I feel like I resonate with just that ring of hope, being hopeful, having hope, and continuing on. And of course, for the Green Lanterns, the Green Lantern itself is a lot stronger than hope because it's willpower compared to just hope. However, hope supercharges the Green Lanterns. And so I felt in my environment, and even still today, I like to supercharge those around me. I like to get in, help with the work, but also increase the capacity of those around me. And so that's a bit of the background of the story and why the Blue Lantern ring meant to me. So I have this ring, and at this summer camp that I'm working at, there's this camper, and he sees my ring, and he's asking me about it, and I tell him the story of, like, just how I told you, about how it's important to me, and I shared a few more things about this fictional universe, and by the end of the week, he's asking, hey, can I have your ring? I think it's really cool, and I think I can use it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, do I really want to give this ring away? It's really cool to me, but, I think he can use it better than I can right now. So I gave him the ring, not knowing like what would happen to it, but I just felt like I should give it to him. And so I did that. And later, a few weeks go by. Sorry if this is taking a lot of showtime, but it's really good. So a few weeks later, a coworker friend of mine, he's just having a rough time. The summer has drained him down, and a few other things were going on in his life. And so he was just standing on one of the balconies at the camp and asking God, just give me a sign of hope that you're still there and that I'm still meant to be here, and everything else that he was praying. And so that was the start of the week. And then he decided that, well, as part of the job, that he should come over and welcome the campers. And lo and behold, once he approaches the camper registration line, there comes this camper that I gave this blue lantern ring. He's wearing it, and he's walking up and walking towards my friend. And I didn't see any of that at the time. I was there at the registration line, but I was told this story after, and I'm thinking, God, you do have a sense of humor. You are you knew what my friend needed, and you gave him a joke alongside.
That's perfect.
So that's a really good time.
Yeah. Awesome. So what has God been teaching you recently?
Well, I think the biggest thing, considering where I also have come from this last year, was so I was a student at Cape and Ray, then I came back for the summer and I went to Cape and Ray again to serve as a volunteer in the maintenance department. And that was a crazy awesome time as well. But at Cape and Ray, there's such an amazing community of other people just wanting to follow God, just wanting to care about other people and just be there for everyone. And I really find that valuable. But then also that ties into what I've been learning is that the community can be great, but if I'm not wanting to seek after God on my own, it's kind of lax and deteriorates on my end, which the point is, you could be in a great community and you yourself could still be lagging behind. And so for me in these days, I just need to giddy up a little bit better for some of my spiritual disciplines, such as reading and praying and intentionally and choosing to want to spend time with God. And community is great, but then also if you're taken out of that community, you don't have that strong backbone, which I do think is important.
Yeah, there's a part of it to be able to fully get the benefit out of being in that community. You also need to do some of that stuff and bring that into the community so you can share as well, right? So, that's cool. Well, thanks for being here, Evan.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been enjoyable.
Yeah, it's been great hearing your stories. Evan's a great storyteller. Thank you for watching. Thanks to Brady and Jeremy for all the work they're doing in the back end. And we will see you